Rose they had it all: fame, beauty, love, and the world watching their every move. Yet behind the camera flashes and red carpets was a loneliness no one could see. Hollywood promised them forever, but instead, it took their peace, their friendships, and sometimes even their sanity. When the lights fade and the applause ends, what's left are broken hearts trying to find their way back to something real. This isn't just gossip, it's a glimpse behind the illusion, where the stars we once adored are simply human, aching for kindness, truth, and a little bit of grace. Sometimes in Hollywood, it feels like people pick and choose who they want to treat kindly and who they decide to dismiss. And that became clear again this week when I came across a story that truly shows how unpredictable some celebrities can be. Hi everyone, welcome back to Celeb Talk. I'm Nova, your voice of reason in a world that often feels like it's spinning in illusion and glamour, where behind every perfect red carpet smile lies a story that's far from picture perfect. First of all, thank you for all the love and feedback from yesterday's episode. It truly warms my heart to hear from so many of you around the world. And now that the show can be watched in multiple languages, it's amazing to know we can connect with each other whether you speak English, Spanish, French, Hindi, or Portuguese. I even tested it out myself, and it's a bit surreal hearing my words in a different language. But if it makes it easier for you to follow along, that's wonderful. Yesterday, I opened up about something personal. My feelings about how so many faces in Hollywood are starting to look almost artificial, as if people are trying to turn into digital versions of themselves instead of embracing who they really are. I've always believed that beauty lies in imperfection, and that's why I decided to speak with a plastic surgeon who will soon join us on the channel to help explain what's really going on behind the scenes, what procedures stars are doing, why some of them end up looking unrecognizable, and how people can stay more natural without losing themselves. But today, while we wait for Justin Baldoni's appeal to unfold, the industry has been unusually quiet. And you know what I've learned over the years? When Hollywood goes quiet, it's rarely peaceful. It usually means something is bubbling beneath the surface, waiting to explode into another headline that takes us all by surprise. Since no legal updates have come through today, I want to talk about a few different stories that caught my attention. Stories that remind us how fragile fame can be and how easily admiration can turn into disappointment. Let's begin with the case of author Colleen Hoover, who's long been a favorite for readers around the world, but is now facing her first major setback in Hollywood. Her new movie adaptation, based on her novel Regretting You, has turned out to be a serious box office disappointment, bringing in only $23 million on a $30 million budget, when in truth, a film like that needs at least double the production cost just to break even. Critics have not been kind either. Variety compared it to a bad soap opera, saying it lacked both depth and originality. It's surprising because Hoover's fan base is strong, but it seems like even her most loyal readers didn't show up this time. Some people suspect there's a quiet boycott going on, perhaps a reaction to her earlier decisions during the It Ends With Us controversy. You might remember that she initially supported Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, even selling Justin the rights to adapt her book and promoting the movie alongside him. But when his countersuit against Blake went public and the behind-the-scenes details started spilling out, Colleen went silent. She canceled her promo appearances, citing health reasons, and even deleted her Instagram, which many saw as a way to avoid the growing criticism. Now that her new movie is flopping, people are wondering if her past alliances and silence have cost her audience's trust. And honestly, it's a sad reminder of how quickly Hollywood can turn on its own. Sometimes the public doesn't forget, even when the headlines move on. It's also fascinating to think that It Ends With Us, a movie that wasn't loved by critics, still did well financially, possibly because of all the off-screen drama surrounding Blake and Justin. Controversy, as strange as it sounds, can sometimes be the best publicity. Studios have even been known to manufacture feuds or rumors just to get people talking, like we saw earlier this year with those fake dating headlines about Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson, which later turned out to be completely fabricated by publicists to generate buzz. The truth is, in Hollywood, what's real and what's performed often blurs together until even the stars can't tell which part of their life is genuine anymore. That brings us to Blake Lively, who's been the topic of a lot of conversation again, not because of a new movie, but because of how she treats the press. A clip resurfaced online showing her being dismissive to a reporter who asked a simple question about her outfit, something as harmless as discussing women's suits on the red carpet. The reporter handled it gracefully, but Blake's tone came off sharp and condescending. Then, moments later, she was warm and friendly to another journalist asking a similar question, which made people wonder, why the double standard? Why does she pick and choose who deserves her kindness? I could relate to that personally because years ago I interviewed her myself, and I experienced the same thing. I asked her a question about costumes, something she had spoken about proudly in other interviews, and she reacted as if I'd crossed some invisible line. For the rest of that session, she ignored me completely, turning her attention to her co-star and making me look unprofessional. That clip went viral, not because I did anything wrong, but because people saw how she switched between being charming and dismissive in the blink of an eye. I don't share this story out of bitterness. It's simply a reflection of how unpredictable some stars can be. In Hollywood, how you're treated often depends on how useful you are in that moment, not on who you truly are. Speaking of Hollywood's emotional ups and downs, Britney Spears' situation continues to break my heart. I've followed Britney's journey for decades. From her rise as a young pop icon to the painful years of her conservatorship, to her recent attempts to reclaim her life and independence. But lately, she seems to be slipping again. Videos of her dancing alone at home have fans worried, and her new memoir hasn't brought her the peace many hoped it would. What hurts most is seeing how the people who once surrounded her, Madonna, Selena Gomez, Paris Hilton, all seem to have disappeared. They were right there celebrating with her at her wedding in 2022, smiling for the cameras, giving heartfelt toasts. But now, according to reports, Britney hasn't spoken to any of them in months. Sources say she's isolated, unreachable, and not responding to calls or messages. Paris Hilton reportedly tries to reach out through mutual friends, but if Britney isn't answering, it's like trying to rescue someone behind a locked door. We can't judge these friendships from the outside, but it's sad to see her so alone after everything she's endured. She doesn't just need friends, she needs professional help, someone who can step in and guide her toward healing. What makes this story even sadder is remembering what she went through with the paparazzi years ago. A friend of mine, a Swedish journalist named Magnus, once told me about the time he rode with a group of photographers chasing Britney through Los Angeles. He said it was terrifying. Cars speeding, running red lights, 50 photographers shouting and snapping pictures, just to capture a moment of her walking out of a store. That kind of constant chaos would break anyone, and she's been living with the aftermath of that for most of her adult life. No wonder she struggles to find peace. Another story that caught my attention is Lily Allen's new album, which is both brilliant and heartbreaking. It's her 5th studio album, titled Western Girl, and it's essentially a musical diary of her failed marriage to actor David Harbour, who many know as the police chief from Stranger Things. Every song feels like a confession, raw, honest, sometimes bitter, but always beautifully written. When I first heard it, I felt deep sympathy for her. The lyrics painted a picture of betrayal and loneliness, and you could hear her pain in every note. But as I learned more, I discovered that Lily and David had an open marriage, an arrangement that allowed both to see other people. Her heartbreak then wasn't just about cheating, it was about broken rules within that arrangement. She claims he developed feelings for someone else, crossing emotional boundaries they had agreed not to cross. It complicates the story because it's no longer black and white, and while her pain is real, it raises questions about whether open marriages can truly work. I've never personally met a couple that remained happy long-term in one. Usually one partner agrees reluctantly to keep the other happy, and eventually someone gets hurt. Lily has always been open about her flaws, even admitting in her memoir that she's made mistakes. She once had an affair with Liam Gallagher while he was married, and she's been candid about hiring escorts during her tours. So her openness isn't new, but what troubles me most is how public she's made this story when she has teenage daughters. Imagine being a 13-year-old and hearing your mother sing about her open marriage and heartbreak. It must be incredibly confusing. As parents, we sometimes forget that our children are listening even when we don't think they are, and for them, art and life aren't separate. That's why I feel both admiration for her honesty and concern for how it might affect her family. Then, amid all these heavy stories, something unexpectedly lighthearted found its way onto my feed. A clip of actor Dan Stevens in an interview that left me laughing for a good 5 minutes. The host, without realizing the double meaning of her words, asked him if he had to beat off a lot of American men to get his role, and his reaction was priceless. He tried to stay composed, but the awkwardness was just too much, and his laughter said everything. Sometimes we need moments like that, pure, innocent humor that cuts through all the drama and reminds us that life doesn't always have to be so serious. As I sit back and reflect on all these stories, I can't help but notice a pattern. Whether it's Blake Lively's selective kindness, Colleen Hoover's Hollywood stumble, Britney Spears' heartbreaking loneliness, or Lily Allen's emotional confessions, they all reveal one thing. Fame doesn't protect anyone from pain. If anything, it amplifies it. Behind every carefully curated Instagram post is a human being who wants to be loved, understood, and seen. Hollywood sells perfection, but perfection is the one thing none of these people have. The industry thrives on illusion, and sometimes when that illusion cracks, what's left behind is just a person doing their best to stay afloat. So, to everyone listening today, remember that even the brightest stars fade when they lose their connection to what's real. Let's keep watching these stories unfold not with judgment, but with empathy, because beneath the glamour and gossip, there are lessons for all of us about kindness, resilience, and the importance of staying true to ourselves. Thank you for spending this time with me today. I appreciate every single one of you who tunes in, leaves a comment, or just listens quietly. It means more than you know. Stay safe, stay kind, and as always, I'll be here tomorrow with more updates from this ever-changing world we call Hollywood.